The What It Takes Radio Company, connecting you to your audience. And we present episode 4 in How to Be a World Class Podcaster. Because indeed, the world needs to hear your story. Now, as a world class podcaster, you have to learn the secret formula to promotional and programming success. So let's do it. Well, here we are again, and this is episode coaching experience chapter number 4 in How to Be a World-Class Podcaster. Now, we're very unique in some of the things that we have. One of those is just exactly as I said in our beginning. It's about not how to do a podcast, it's how to be a podcaster. And more than that, how to be a good one, maybe even a great one. And so that's why we spent a lot of time on 1, 2, and 3, because it's about you and what you have to be and how you have to know about other people. It's the being. And now we're moving into more of the doing part. And we're going to try and teach you some of the things that are somewhat the secrets of the trade. The thing that makes the difference between the man or woman who just gets in front of a microphone and tries to talk and the man or woman who has had the insight and the training and the experience to know many of the little tricks and strategies and ways of being somebody who sounds really good, who can make a difference, who is not just a talker, but truly a world-class communicator and broadcaster. And that's what we're trying to help you do. Now, this lesson is going to be very, very concise, because it's very important that you know this, because it is kind of the secret to how you will program yourself when you do a program. And I am very much surprised, because I have sampled many of the programs out there, and none of them teach this very simple formula, which I learned in broadcasting school, and I've changed it somewhat to really make it work for me and my clients. But it's a formula that is vital for you to know. Here we go. It is AIDA. A-I-D-D-A. Now that stands for some very important things you have to do to be good. Now, have any of you ever heard of AIDA before? Now, in some of your sales training, you might have heard about it, but even as I've done a great deal of sales and marketing training for companies, whenever I bring this up, many people who've had very expensive sales training tell me, well, I've never heard of that before. This is incredible. This will be really helpful. I was never taught AIDA. Now, let me give you a little bit of an idea. Now, please keep in mind that particularly in the American style of broadcasting, it oftentimes is paid for by the fact that companies or organizations will pay for you to do what is called a promotion or a commercial. And that means in 30 seconds or 60 seconds within the program, you actually do a little sales pitch for the company. And you do that so that the people who are listening and enjoying the program will say, well, you know, if I need to have my car fixed, I can go to that company. Or if I need to have that particular something for my house, I can go to that particular company. Whatever it is, if I would want that, or maybe I didn't even know that I wanted that, but now I know what company to go to get it because I heard it on the radio. And because people heard it on the radio, some people think, well, that's a good endorsement. They must be a good company to work with. And so companies pay for somebody like me right in the middle of the program to take a time out and now say something like this. And now a word from the people who are kind enough to bring you this great program. And then I do a commercial. And it's usually about 60 seconds. And when I was in broadcasting school, it was so important that they made us spend hours every day going out and finding a company that would need a radio program, a radio commercial, and then we had to learn how to write it and then produce it and then put it on the air. In fact, The way you made money in American broadcasting was you were really good at the sales and the speaking of commercials, not just the person who was kind of the announcer or the music host or what some people would call the disc jockey or the person who actually had the program. That's where the money was. And I was taught by one of the finest disc jockeys who then decided that instead of letting the salesman make the money, he would not only be the disc jockey who got paid for the program, but then he would actually go out and he would sell the advertising. So he could get both paychecks. He was very, very good. And he taught this to me and I refined it. Now here's how it goes. You have to keep in mind that people's attention span is very, very short. We'll talk about that. It's very short. Here's the truth. If I begin to talk on a promotion or a commercial, I have about 5, maybe 7 seconds to get their attention. As they used to say to me in the BBC, the listener is doing something else, stop them. Get their attention. They're not thinking about the product or the service. In 5 to 7 seconds, you have to get their attention. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's a clever quote, some way of asking a great question, perhaps saying, wouldn't it be nice? In some way, I have to perk them up from their just kind of normal listening mode and get their attention. Oh, wow, okay. Now, once I've got their attention, I have to keep them interested. Because if I don't keep them interested, guess what they can do? They can click and switch. They can stop listening. They can change the channel, change the radio station, mute me, whatever. So I have to keep them not only in attention, but now I have to keep them interested. Saying something in which they begin to say, that might be helpful. That might be useful. Well, that would be something I would like, maybe. But they don't know. Then think about this. What would you be the D? Think about that now. Desire. Right in the middle. What I have to do is I have to get them to want to buy or do whatever it's about. Desire. You can lose 30 pounds. You can have a brand new automobile. You can have good breath. You can have a nice coat. You could go out for a nice dinner. And you paint such a nice picture visually by doing the verbal. They begin to say, that would be nice. Okay? Now, by the way, I didn't tell you this. You've got 60 seconds to do this. You got to go through all those 3. Oh no, you got to do through more than 3. You've got to get them to say, I would like that. That would be good. I should go to the store, or I should call up, or I should dial, or I should go online. That would be nice. That would be nice. I'm interested now. I'm more than interested. I want that. And that's what you're trying to do to get them to the point where they actually want to do something. Now what do I do? Well, now I have to close the deal. I have to get them not only to want something, desire something, I'm going to have to get them to the point where they decide. That's what I'm going to do. That's right. Here's what you do. You have to get them to the point where you inquire Are you really interested in this? Now let me tell you what you have to do and why this will be good for you. Donald Trump, who was the president of the United States, and maybe again sometime, who knows? He was quite a character, but he wasn't an original politician. In fact, one of the reasons he became president is he was the only presidential candidate who had had radio and television experience of any kind. He'd actually had a world famous television program called The Apprentice. People knew him all around because he knew how to use the media, how to speak, how to talk, all of the things that go into promoting himself and attracting an audience. He knew all of that. He had been doing that for 20, 30 years. And he always talked about the fact that success is getting the deal. And in fact, he actually wrote a book, which might be helpful to you, even though some of you may not like him. Whether you like him or not, he was very, very good at making a deal. And he wrote a book called The Art of the Deal. And it still is quite a well-known book and a bestseller. And he describes how you get people to buy something, how you close the deal. Let's make a deal. Now, some of you are having problems with this because you don't want to be in sales. You want to be in something else. You perhaps want to be in the ministry or a religious organization, or you want to be educational, or you want to be music. That's what you're about. You don't want to be selling commercials. I know that. But here's the problem. Somebody is going to have to pay for you to have a radio program. And it's either you or you're going to get somebody else to do that. And that means you're going to have to sell them on the idea that they should take some of the money that they would rather keep and they give it to you or your radio program to sponsor you. That's what you're going to have to do. And so, get their attention, get their interest, paint a picture that is desirable. Then describe what do you have to do? Well, it's going to cost you $19.95. It's going to cost you this much to do that. And when you do that, this is what you're going to get. Say, okay, now I know it costs this much, and this is what I'll get. And this is what it'll do. Okay? Attention, interest, desire, decision. What's the last day? Some of you probably already got it. Yeah. Action. One of the jokes we often tell in radio is this, hey, there are 3 ducks on the log. 2 of them decide to jump off. How many are left? Well, of course, it's a trick question. You'd say, well, of course. No, 3 are left. You know why? Because they just decided. They didn't jump. They have to take action. It's not enough just for them to decide something. They have to act upon it. And that's why I always tell people is, as we said before, what do you want people to feel, experience, desire, know, and do? What do you want them to do? What is the purpose of your commercial or the purpose of your program? What do you want them to do? How do you want them to take action? Now, here's why this is vital. That is not just a good formula for selling things. Remember, you're in the business not just of entertaining people. There's a good share of the business where you are actually trying to help them, encourage them, help them take action, help them do things that are helpful and beneficial to them, because let me tell you, particularly in podcasting, that's why people go to it. They can go, if they just want to listen to music, there's all kinds of music stations they can listen to. You know them, Spotify, Pandora, all of those. So if they want just music, they probably won't go to a podcast unless it's very special music that they normally can't get. And because, like one of the programs we do, the man is a storyteller about the cowboy songs he sings. And so people love his program because he knows the stories of the cowboys. And he was world class in knowing many of the people who actually wrote these cowboy songs. And for that audience, and it's a smaller audience, but it's worldwide, so it can be quite large, of people who love cowboy songs, and they love to hear the stories of the songs. You are still going to have to think about, here's my program. I've got 25 minutes. I've got 30 minutes. By the way, I used to do programs that were 1 minute, and I still do them. I've done thousands of them. And many of them were about subjects that are very important, by life and spirit and God. 1 minute messages. And I had to go through all of those steps in 60 seconds, because it was actually aired on a radio program, and if it went 61 seconds, they would have cut it off at 59. And so even though it was 60, I had to make sure the program actually had its last syllable at 59. I did thousands of those. I still have them around. And so I was not only trying to promote something, of course, that wasn't the deal. It was an actual inspirational, here's a change maker minute. Just a minute thought in the middle of your day while you're going around the world, whatever you're doing, here's just something to think about for 1 minute. And I would have to go through all of those steps: attention, interest, desire, decision, action. And I have to cover those steps in 60 seconds or 59. It can be done. Every time you see a commercial on radio or television, look at them. They are following that same principle: attention, interest, desire, decision, action. And in many cases, they do that best, as we will learn, by telling a story to get your attention, to then segue, which is a term you're going to learn, segue into something that they can pitch. That's to get people to decide. Here's the pitch. Now, here's what I'm throwing to you, and this is what I want you to catch and do something. It will be very helpful to you in your podcasting, even though you may not be asking people for any money or asking them to do anything like that, for you to know that every time you stand in front of that microphone, attention, interest, desire, decision, action. And then you're done. And then you close it up and tell them, hey, we're so glad you enjoyed the program with us. We hope you enjoyed it. And then ACB. Always close with a benediction. Now, that may surprise you. ACB. The word benediction, many of you who've had some church background remember that that's usually the thing that's said at the end of a church service, kind of the blessing or a prayer, benediction. No, I'm not talking about that. But that is what we do in the words of benediction. That means good speech. Good speech. At the end, you always say something good and affirming and comforting and inspiring. Bless them, as somebody would say. Some of you may remember the Star Trek series. And in effect, there was the character named Mr. Spock. Now, I know this is dating me, but it's still around. The Vulcan character. And he had a Vulcan greeting. He said, "May you live long and prosper. May you live long and prosper." That's a benediction. That's a good talk. That's good speech, good speaking. And so at the end, after you've gone through your program of getting their attention, keeping them interested, and by the way, you have to make sure that you're working sometimes, as we teach people, is every 5 minutes, you may have to refresh their interest. Keep them interested. That's why your partner, your partner and you can't go on too long unless you're doing something that will help bring their attention back and keep them interested for a little longer time. Well, guess what? I've gone on long enough, and you've been kind enough to give me your attention, and so it's time for me to close and say thank you so much. I appreciate that you are doing this, and I know that you are truly going to be world-class broadcasters. We've got a few more lessons to go, and they will be helpful, but thank you for going this far. We're over half done now, and you're ready to be world-class broadcasters. Again, thank you so much, and remember, attention, interest, desire, decision, and take action. This is for you. Please reach out to me, Stan Houston, at stan@witradio.net. Witradio.net is our website, and 520-664-7002 USA.